Hello everyone. In today's video, we have a very interesting topic, something that a lot of people in software, especially in cloud computing, we have come across the term of DevOps or DevSecOps, which is essentially automation. In other words, our sec means security that you do. So I'm going to show you how in our customers we have set up GitLab and how the runner, which is configured on AWS on the VM, interaction works along with the pipeline. So this diagram I have in front of you essentially is the architecture of what we recommend to set up in terms of the GitLab Runner along with the EC2 setup. This is where the idea is that somebody who has access user for AWS, they will be able to create a stack, and I'll show you the steps what is required of for doing this. The stack will be created. This is a CloudFormation stack. The reason I put CloudFormation is this is something out of the box that GitLab provides, and I'll show you this GUI. But when the stack is created, you will be having the resources spun up. And in this case, like with the stack, it will require a few parameters, which in this case could be specific for a non-prod environment. And if you're going for a prod, the parameters will of course be different depending on the setup. So this is where the non-prod, they provide the information. And now you would ideally want to have a separate non-prod account. And if any understanding on how accounts should be set up or how organization should be done, please check out the video for organization that you can see, or the identity center setup as well. But this is where you will choose the account in terms of the setup, and you will create a auto-scaling group. This is part of the stack and the auto-scaling groups creates a EC2 instance. And this is where the EC2 instance is where the runner is going to be attached, which in a sense is going to be creating the GitLab pipeline. Now, in this runner, to deploy, there will be a few things that one will need to be set up, which is the Terraform, because a lot of times for infrastructure as a code, Terraform is the cloud-agnostic software that a lot of enterprises go with compared to using AWS CloudFormation, which is again AWS native, or say using Azure Bicep or Azure Resource Manager. Terraform is the cloud-agnostic and de facto choice for a lot of enterprises. You will want to attach a role to the instance so that it has the right permissions in terms of systems manager permission, in terms of CloudWatch permission, in terms of S3 where the state is going to be stored. And I'll show you all those steps as part of the setup. And this is where once you are done with this setup here, non-prod, you will have the VM spun with the required tag. And that tag is what you can attach to a specific GitLab project, something I'll show you how to go about doing it and the setup of that. And similarly, once you have the process stabilized in a non-prod, you can move this same process to any environment. In this case, I have shown its non-prod account. You could also do the same in the production account as well. So I hope this diagram provides a good understanding of the architecture that we are proposing. We have set up for a lot of customers on automation, something I think that should be a very good architecture pattern going forward. So now I have the AWS console. This is the account in which I'll be spinning up the stack, and I'll show you this. And also what I do, I have the GitLab as part of the setup. So this is the GitLab where I have the setting done. I have these pipelines created, these repositories created, and a few things that you will need to do is you will need to go here, go to your profile, and you can go to edit profile. You can provide the access tokens. This is something going to be very important. Just ensure you have created this token, because this token is what you will be needing in terms of your Git access. You will be requiring this. You can always create a new token. I have already created these tokens. You can create a new token. You can provide an expiration date for the token, and you can provide the required setup for the token as well for GitLab to use. So this is one thing that you will need to do. I have done the setup here, right? You can see this is the token that I'm using for the runner, and this is where you could provide this necessary permission here. Once this is done, you can go back to the pipeline that is here. You can go back to the resources out here, and what you can do is you can, as part of the parent, you can always come here and go to the CI/CD. This is where you will want to do the setup. So go to the CI/CD. Now you see this is the runner that needs to be created. So you can do it at each repository level, and let me show you that. You can go here. You can go to the, say, one of these repositories. You can click here, and you can always go to this as well. You'll find the same setup. But if you want to standardize it for the whole organization, you can just click here, hit expand, and you can do the similar thing out here. So let me go to the root level and show you the setup. So this is where I go here. I go to settings. I go to CI/CD, and this is only for GitLab. Don't get confused with GitHub, which is a Microsoft product now. It follows the Git methodology, but it is a different product altogether, right? So this is GitLab, that is GitHub, and we're talking specifically runner for a GitLab. So this is what you do. You come here, and you can always enable instance runners, and you can always provide this setting out here. Right, so this is where you want to just ensure the runners are there. And then what you do is you come into the child account where you want to do the spin up. So let me just take this one. Actually, let me go back and use the other one. Okay, let me just come back, runner setup. And this is where I go to the access token. And not access token, I'm in the CI/CD. Yep, so this is where I expand it. And now I have a few runners attached already, but what I'll do is just to show the steps, because when you come here, it will be ideally empty. So what you do is you click on these three dots and you click this one. GitLab does a good job in providing the information, so you click on this one. And now you have a lot of this information. You can always try to do this if you have an EC2, but just come straight to AWS option. And this is where you will want to use the runner token, something that you will be needing. And you can, I don't want to set up a Docker again on a VM explicitly, because it's a little more, you need to again worry about the container. I just like to go with the shell approach. What is a shell? It is essentially saying that I don't want to have a Docker, and I'll just be running on the VM directly, the runner, the pipeline. What is a non-spot? Something which spot instances is something which can be terminated. You pay a little less money, but in this case, I don't want a spot instance because I want the pipeline to be running and not terminated in the middle of a job. So this is what you do. You click on this one here and you click this link. Now what this is going to give you is, it will come back and try to give you the pipeline, and I'll come back and I'll just show you this link out here. Okay, so you come here and click this link, and it'll just open a new browser, and this is where you see it will provide you the template that you can use. You can give the stack name here. Actually, I don't want to use Windows. Let me close. You do want to use Linux only. So, okay, so I think this is the only one. So if you want to use Linux, you can just choose this one. And I'll show you how you can go and provide that you just want to use shell. I'll show you how you do that. But you click this one and it will create the stack for you. And this is where you provide the parameter. You provide the token out here that you will be needing. This is the token that you are going to be needing as part of here. And you will provide this information. And then you will be providing the GitLab detail out here. What is the GitLab configuration? And right, the additional tags. Now you could say this is a white UT tag here. You provide the number of instances, the VPC that you want to use. You can come and choose the VPC from the ID. And essentially provide all these information. These are self-explanatory. I don't think I need to do here. And then you click here, acknowledge, and you create a stack. Now this is where it may take time. So what I'll do is I'll come back and show you the entire stack that is created because I have already done this here. Okay, so this is where you see this is the stack I had created, and like these are the resources it creates. Like this is a similar stack that you can see, but this is one I had already created one. This is the resources it's going to be creating. And as you see, this is the template it uses out here. It has all these versions. Now in here, I had to do a few tweaks to get it working. But for the most part, this template is good. It's just that the way CloudFormation behaves is you have to create initially first few resources, then go and update for the rest of the resources. That's a little bit of tweaks you will need to do, but this is the template you can see. And the outputs that the Substack has created is you can come and see in the resources part. It creates the bucket policy, the instance profile, which is the role, the launch template that you use. So pretty much a lot of these resources, it's going to be created. That is going to be set out. This is what is the runner. It's nothing but a EC2 instance that we are going to be attaching to over here. This is where we will be attaching it. So let me go and show you how the runner looks like. And let me just go in this particular, let me show you the setup out here. And this is a standard setup. It's nothing out of the blue, but just a standard setup where you come here, you can see the cluster, and this is the launch template it uses. If I have to show the launch template, launch template is nothing but it's just a configuration you provide for the VM you want to spin. So it has all this information, the launch template, and you can always edit it and provide the version. But this is, once you provide the parameters in CloudFormation, it will spin up the resources. And this is where the instance is already set up. Now, this is where this is the instance I have it running as part of the setup. And if you see the role this is the role that is being used. Now, this role is also important because it does need to have the required permissions. Essentially, it needs to have SSM and automation role for this access, and also a few other read access that you may be requiring depending on your environment. But just ensure the role is proper. And regarding the security group as well, let me provide you the way the setup is and inbound. And this is where you would want to this is from the security group that I created, but you can make it narrow and outbound also just ensure so that you can go and pull the Docker registry. So this is the runner. Now let me SSH into the VM, and just to quickly show, I can go to the instances here, click the runner. Let me try connecting. And I'll just use Session Manager instead of the SSH client, but you could use any SSH client. And you can use you can watch one of our previous videos on how to connect to a Linux VM on a private subnet without using a Bastion, but using EC2 endpoint, and how you can also connect using WinSCP. But this is where you can just hit connect, and that is where the instance needs the role SSM role permission, System Manager role permission. You come here, hit connect, and this is where you will be able to do. And all these commands that are there, you can go and check it out in the setup, and you can go and see it. So over here, this is the runner. What you will want to do is you will want to install Terraform here, and you can install like Terraform as part of the setup. And let me just show you the command you would want to export the GitLab Runner, because this is the GitLab Runner which is set up at the home directory. You want to set up the path for that so that it is available each time you start. Or if this instance terminates, another one starts, it's part of there. You would want to install this GitLab Runner working directory. You would want to do this setup because it should be there, but I just had to come in and make the setting proper. Just ensure the right permission is there. It does have execute permission. That is where this command was given. And just I had given little more permissions because it was kind of a little bit of debugging problem. And that's where you provide this command to get it working. So, and this is where you provide the setup that will install your Git runner. And now, when you install the Git runner, you also have an option of providing the whether you want to run it as a shell or run it as a Docker. And all these commands that are there, if you want to run it as a shell or run it as a Docker, you can also find it in the blog, which has little more description out of it. But then this is where how you can start the runner yourself. You can give the start command, or you can give the stop command to stop it. So you have all these commands that you have a lot more control for the runner aspect. And once this runner is done, it's set up, what you will need to do is now, you may have to manually come into this pipeline, to this, not the pipeline, to the repository, and attach the runner to here. Now, when you create the tag, you should start seeing this runner as part of this here. Like you will see something like this coming up. And so you may need to enable this for your project. So this is one thing that you will need to do. And secondly, if you have other runners or if you have other group runners, I had to delete it. I had to disable it because it wasn't working for me. My specific runner wasn't picking up the job. It was being picked up by the group runner. So something you may have to come in and do and ensure your runner is just the right one with the right software installed, with the right permission. That is doing the processing of your pipeline. And this is where I'll just show you a few additional pipelines. This is where it is coming. The pipeline, you see, the pipelines are coming here. This is where anytime if I do a commit, like the code, and just to show you a sample pipeline, this is a Terraform where I'm calling a module for another like setup, and this is the code, but I'll show the code later. Okay, so this is where you can then come and see the pipeline. You can see the jobs that are running. I was running a few jobs. You see that a lot of have failed, a few have passed here. And you, in the GitLab.ci YAML, this is the pipeline, the file that will be kicking off. This is the pipeline file, which has multiple stages. And as you see, I have been writing the stages where you can put the tag here and accordingly provide the right commands that you want to do. If you want to do cleanup, if you want to initialize Terraform, if you want to do a plan, and if you want to do any other applies that are part of the setup. So you would want to write the stages as part of the pipeline, and this is where my main file will look like. I will be putting it here, the output. I am calling a few modules. These are the modules here. The VPC is one module. The IAM is another module that I'm calling this. And once the runner is attached is when I can come here and see the job running. So with this, I hope this is able to provide you, this video is able to provide you the architecture on how we can go about like a user, how he can go about creating a runner stack, something which is set up on the AWS EC2. That way you have the right permission assigned to the instance without anything more. You can install the Terraform. You can eventually go ahead and then create your own AMI, which is an Amazon machine image with Terraform installed, with Git installed. That way each time you run, you don't need to go and do it, or you can go and put it in the user data part as well. So multiple options to go about setting the environment, but it's a very good architecture that you can use to attach the runners to multiple projects, because as you saw, I have one runner which I can attach to multiple projects. This is where you would want to do capacity planning, because in a production environment, or even it could be non-prod environment, you may not want to have one runner for multiple projects. You may want to have one runner per project depending on the workload. So please like, subscribe, share the channel, reach out to us for any of your cloud requirements.